After learning about physical properties, chemical properties, preparations of alcohols as well as phenols, now we can go for the last functional group, that is ethers. So now we can start with general methods of preparations of ethers. So now once you go for that very first general method of preparation, I think you have already gone through the chemical properties of alcohols. So now once the alcohols, they are subjected for, that is dehydration process with the help of concentrated H2SO4, they will end up in the formation of either alkene or ethers. So now if you remember those chemical properties, now we can easily just recall the set of reaction whatever I have given on the board. Now, which is that first method of preparation of ethers, that is by dehydration of alcohols. So you remember properly, there are two conditions required for the conversion of alcohol either into ethers or into alkenes. So now you should be very much careful enough regarding the conditions required there. Here whatever that reaction I have given, ethanol on treating with sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4, at temperature 413 Kelvin, it results in the formation of diethyl ether C2H5O C2H5. So here when alcohol is treated with excess of acid at 140 degrees Celsius or it is 413 Kelvin temperature, so you will end up with the formation of ether. Of course, here you are going to get the conversion of ethyl alcohol into diethyl ether. In case if we maintain the condition when ethanol is treated with sulfuric acid, but of course in spite of maintaining 140 degrees Celsius, if you maintain 170 degrees Celsius, what would have happened? In spite of getting diethyl ether, would have end up with the product, that is ethene. Then you should be careful enough while maintaining the conditions for the preparations of ethers. Once you go for the same simple reaction, ethanol on treating with acid, that is dilutes H2SO4 at 413 Kelvin, you will end up with the formation of C2H5O C2H5 and along with the separation of water. Of course, if you go for the mechanism for this reaction, so there are 3 steps mechanism. It follows SN2 pathway, substitution nucleophilic bimolecular reaction. Now, if you start with very first step, here there is a formation of protonated alcohol. So we are using excess of alcohol in this reaction. Very first step, the ethanol will get attacked with the proton, that is H+. This proton needs electrons. It is having deficiency with electron. It is acting as electrophile. It will be attacking on lone pair of electron present on the oxygen. So here this hydrogen or the proton will get attacked to the oxygen, so that you will get the formation of bond between oxygen and hydrogen. But of course, since oxygen has donated this electron for the bond formation between oxygen and hydrogen, now there is lack with the valence electron on oxygen. Hence, oxygen carrying positive charge. It is ethyl oxonium ion. Do you remember in the mechanism for the conversion of ethanol into ethene, you will have the same step. That the first step will be one and the same. Protonation will be taking place to get the same ion. But in the second step, actually here there is another molecule of alcohol is interacting with this ethyl oxonium ion. But in this case, because of the involvement of another molecule, you will not go with the same step, second step as it was there in the mechanism for the conversion of ethanol into ethene. So now once you can consider there C, that is OH, and here it will be H. There dehydration was taking place in the conversion of ethanol into ethene. But here this ethyl oxonium ion will interact with another ethyl alcohol molecule. So what happens here? Here we can find oxygen is carrying positive charge. Now it is lagged by electron. Now what possibility is there? So since oxygen is greedy, it wants back its electron. It can withdraw the bonded shared pair of electron between oxygen and another carbon. So that if ethanol is interacting with this electron deficient center, now this oxygen can provide the electron pair for this carbon, so that this bonded pair electron will be shifted back to the oxygen to get the neutrality back for the oxygen. So here in case of ethanol, lone pair of electron will be helping for making bond with this carbon, so that the bond between this oxygen and this carbon atom is shifted back to the oxygen, so that we are getting that removal of water, that is H2O molecule. Now, once you can consider, we are going to remove this water, of course, but here there will be attachment of CH2CH3 group to this oxygen atom, so that it results in the formation of CH3, CH2, O positive carrying hydrogen atom, and other side it is attached to CH2, CH3. Now we can find there is presence of still positive charges present on oxygen. Oxygen is carrying positive charge. Now to get back its neutrality, so there is formation of ether by elimination of proton. So in this last step, because of the removal of proton, then it results in the neutrality of oxygen. Since oxygen is carrying positive charge, there will be removal of hydrogen, then it is without bond. Hydrogen will be removed off without bond, so that this bonded pair will be shifted back to the oxygen. Oxygen is now getting back its neutrality. That is how you are going to get the formation of ether in the last step, third step. In case of conversion of ethanol into ethene, so carbon was carrying, that is carbon with bearing positive charge was undergoing deprotonation to convert into C double bond C, that is conversion into ethene. But in this case, you are going to remove this hydrogen, but this oxygen will be present in between these two alkyl group, so that it results in the formation of diethyl ether. That is how you are going to get the conversion of ethanol into ether compound, which includes these three steps. And of course, what are the conditions, favorable conditions required for the dehydration of alcohols to get ethers? Very first, you can remember primary alcohols are most favorable for this reaction. So if you use primary alcohols for this conversion, it is much helpful for easy conversion into diethyl ether. And you need to maintain low temperature. It is not 170 degrees Celsius, but you should maintain low temperature, means that is at 140 degrees Celsius. So primary alcohols favors this reaction, and low temperature 140 degrees Celsius favors this reaction. But in case if you use secondary or tertiary alcohols, in spite of undergoing SN2 reaction, but they can undergo SN1 reaction, but still SN1 reaction, even they can undergo SN1 reaction, elimination reaction will be more dominant with respect to the secondary and tertiary alcohols. That is why instead of getting conversion of secondary and tertiary alcohols into ethers, they can easily get converted into alkenes. That is why the most favorable conditions required for this dehydration process is primary alcohols are most suitable, and low temperature at, that is 413 degree Kelvin or 413 Kelvin or 140 degrees Celsius is most favorable for this reaction. This is the first general method of preparation of ethers. Now we can go for second method of preparation of ethers, that is by Williams ether synthesis. It is one of the most important preparation from examination point of view. We can get the question regarding the preparation of ethers by which process? By Williamson's ether synthesis. So here, as the name itself indicates, explain Williamson's ether synthesis. If they raise this question in examination, you are going to explain this Williamson's ether synthesis as when sodium alkoxide is treated with alkyl halide results in the formation of ether. If they ask explain Williamson's ether in ether synthesis with an example, then you have to give one specific example. So which is that example we can go for? Here let me start with RONA. It is sodium alkoxide. In general equation, R stands for alkyl group. It is sodium alkoxide and it is reacting with alkyl halide. So on interaction between sodium alkoxide and alkyl halide, you are going to get the formation of ether, that is RO R dash. Either R dash will be identical alkyl group or different alkyl group. Now, once you can consider there is removal of Na along with X in the form of NaX, sodium halide. Now, that specific example you are going to start with sodium ethoxide and treating with ethyl bromide. So, here you can consider this is the alkyl halide I am taking. It is primary alkyl halide. And here we can consider this Na is attached to ethoxy group, that is C2H5O, CH3CH2O. Now, on interaction between sodium and bromine, sodium combines with Br to give sodium bromide. Now, whatever is left over here, C2H5O will get combined with C2H5, so that you will get the resultant product diethyl ether. Diethyl ether with the separation of sodium bromide. Now, what is that condition required for this Williamson's ether synthesis? Of course, you are going to get very good yield in this Williamson's ether synthesis. You can get very good yield of the ethers. But whatever that conditions you need to remember. So, the conditions required here for this synthesis process is, very firstly, you just remember the alkyl halide should be primary alkyl halide rather than secondary and tertiary alkyl halide. So, once you go for this primary alkyl halide, when it is interacting with, that is either this is alkyl group is tight chain or it will be branched. Even it will be tertiary also, no problem. But here the main important condition is alkyl halide should be primary. I am talking about this alkyl halide, not with sodium alkoxide. In Williamson's ether synthesis, very first important favorable condition is we should start with primary alkyl halide. We should take primary alkyl halide because this reaction involves SN2 mechanism, that is, it is substitution nucleophilic bimolecular reaction, where you can remember there will be direct attack of the substituent on the primary alkyl halide, so that there should not be any steric repulsion because of the bulky group attached to this halogen. Therefore, for easy substitution nucleophilic bimolecular reaction, we need only smaller group, that is primary alkyl halide will favors the SN2 reaction. In case if we go for, that is secondary, they can undergo another pathway, that is SN1 mechanism, or even there will be chance for the elimination reaction. Hence, that secondary alkyl groups, if they are there in the reaction, they can result both in the formation of ethers as well as alkenes. But in case other than primary or secondary, if you exclusively use a tertiary alkyl halide, then you are going to get the resultant product. It is not ether actually, but it will be alkene. That is why for the synthesis of ethers by Williams process, then we should use primary alkyl halides. Then, now if we go for, in this example, sodium methoxide on reaction with ethyl bromide, you are going to get the formation of diethyl ether. It is only straight chain ether, and of course it is simple ether. If you want to get branches in case of ethers, then we can take the help of this Morse substituted alkyl group attached to ONA group. Now we can take one such example. Here there are no branches for this methyl. It is primary we can consider, or even we can take C2H5, and in this side there are branches. So it is substituted by 3 alkyl groups. So it is named as sodium tertiary butoxide. Sodium tertiary butoxide, because it contains 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon atoms, hence the name is butoxide. Now, when sodium tertiary butoxide is made to react with, it is not ethyl bromide, it is methyl bromide. Methyl bromide. Now, there is easy removal of sodium along with bromine to give NaBr. Now, there is easy attack of tertiary butoxide to the methyl group, that is CH3 group, and it results in the formation of this compound, that is tertiary butyl methyl ether. So, it is also following SN2 mechanism, because we are using here primary alkyl halide. Like ethyl bromide, we can use methyl bromide. Now, in case, here in this case we are using primary alkyl halide, but here there is a branch. But in the next example whichever I am taking, you just observe it keenly. So here along with ONA, I am using small group, that is methyl group. But in case of alkyl halide, what type of alkyl halide I am using? So it is tertiary alkyl halide. So what I said before, if you use tertiary alkyl halide, instead of following either SN2 mechanism or SN1 mechanism, it will follows easily that elimination reaction, so that it results in the formation of unsaturation compound. Hence, here we can find there is removal of sodium along with bromine. So, you will get NaBr. So, as you can find here, CH3, C, CH3, and here the CH3O combines with one of the hydrogen atom from methyl group here. So, you will get CH3OH, CH3OH, and there will be removal of hydrogen. And once you can consider here there is removal of hydrogen, and another side there is removal of bromine. So, this hydrogen without bond is removed. Therefore, there is a provision for the formation of double bond between this carbon atom and this carbon atom. That is why I have written here, instead of writing CH3, I have written CH2, then double bond, then C, CH3, then CH3. So, where do you get that CH3? So, here all these 3 alkyl groups, we can find only 2 alkyl groups, but from one alkyl group we have removed hydrogen and we have removed bromine also. Hence, it causes elimination of hydrogen and halogen, dehydrohalogenation, and here we can find that formation of unsaturated compound. This methoxy group, CH3O group, can easily combine with one of that hydrogen. It results in the formation of alcohol. Therefore, in case if you use tertiary alkyl halide, you will not end up with the formation of ether, but you will end up with the formation of alkene and alcohol. That is why, which is that favorable condition required for this Williamson's ether synthesis means, particularly we should go for primary alkyl halide, which favors SN2 reaction exclusively, and results in the formation of ethers. We can prepare straight chain ethers and even the branched chain ethers by the help of Williamson's ether synthesis. It is one of the most important synthesis from examination point of view. You should remember this reaction and even you should remember this condition for this reaction. Okay, next method of preparation of ethers is by using silver oxide. So we can start with haloalkanes. With the help of silver oxide, we can convert into ethers. When an alkyl halide is heated with silver oxide, it results in the formation of ether. So now if you take one simple example, ethyl bromide on heating with silver oxide, you are going to get the formation of diethyl ether and there will be separation of silver bromide. Here you can find Ag2O. So Ag combines with Br. So here another Ag combines with one more molecule of C2H5Br. So that is with Br. So you will get AgBr. Now 2 molecules of C2H5Br is left over with C2H5. Here there will be presence of oxygen. So that this C2H5 along with oxygen on either side, that is C2H5O, C2H5 results in the formation of diethyl ether. And if you look into this reaction, we can find if you use one type of alkyl halide, you are going to end up with the formation of that is symmetrical ethers or simple ethers. So symmetrical ethers can be prepared by this method by the help of this haloalkanes and silver oxide. And if you want to prepare phenolic ethers where oxygen on one side there is attachment of phenyl group, other side there is attachment of alkyl group, such ethers are named as phenolic ethers. Now here if you start with sodium phenate, so you know that when phenol is treated with sodium hydroxide, it results in the formation of sodium phenate. Now if you start with the same sodium phenate, when sodium phenate is heated with methyl iodide, that is one of the alkyl halide is methyl iodide, you will get the separation of sodium along with iodine in the form of NaI. So here sodium is replaced by methyl group, so that you will get attachment of methyl on one side and phenyl group on other side. This is named as anisole. So what is that another name for this anisole? Methyl phenyl ether. So another that is IUPAC name for this one is alkoxy, that is methoxy, parent name is benzene. Methoxybenzene, that is nothing but it is commonly called as anisole. Similarly, in spite of taking methyl iodide, if you go for ethyl bromide, when the same sodium phenate is heated with ethyl bromide, it results in the formation of ethyl phenyl ether. So it is given with the IUPAC name ethoxybenzene. So that is how we can even prepare phenolic ethers by starting with sodium phenate and making them to react with alkyl halides. That is how we can go for different methods of preparation with respect to what? That is ethers.